Okay, awesome. Thanks, Margaret. So I'm Eva Dobrzanska, and I'm the investment manager at Six Way Ventures. We are an angel syndicate of 25 angels investing at pre-seed and seed with average check sizes between 100K to about 200K per deal. And we've got 11 in our portfolio, currently pacing at 1 deal per month. And to those deals that we are not able to invest in, but we still like them, we offer fundraising assistance. What we like and what we focus on is, as the name suggests, everything that can be classed as a sixth wave of innovation. So thinking of the fifth wave that was spearheaded by the birth of internet and telecommunications, sixth wave is all about AI, resource efficiency, sustainability, future of the planet, future of health. And that's the broad verticals that we're focusing on. My background previously is that back when I lived in Sydney, I was working for a fintech startup that went from 0 to 2 million ARR in just under a year. And after that, I moved over to the advisory side on capital raising. So now I've been in this for over half a decade. And I'm quite vocal on LinkedIn, always sharing resources with founders, launching fundraisers. And I think the main goal that I've got for founders and everything that I share is that it really does take a long race to ensure that founders can save time.
Can you share a bit about how the syndicate works? We've had a few syndicate leads come in and join us, and each one of them has like a slightly different process. Like for you, where do deals come from? And then what's the typical process after you do that first like filtering?
Yes, yeah. So our lead syndicate is Darren Shaw, and he has put together the syndicate from his close network of high net worths. There's 25 of them in total, and our process looks at each deal on a deal by deal basis. So that means whichever founder comes to us, they are reviewed by our angels individually, and that means that the check size amount can differ per deal. So to give you an example, in our April investment, one of our angels have tipped in 100K as his own individual check on top of the other angels that also followed on alongside him. And the difference in our case compared to VCs is that we really look at the backgrounds of the founders and what they're building, and we try to match them with the backgrounds of angels in our syndicate. We're investing at early stage where a lot of the decision making is about gut feel. So those angels need to make sure that they understand not just the business, but also the industry, the vertical, the sector, and the growth plan. We prioritize early exits. So founders who are targeting an early exit, even as soon as Series A, that's a green flag to us. And that's something that our angel investors look for. And then lastly, we utilize our investability assessments. So every founder can come and get their investability score. And this is what gets shared with all of the angels in our syndicate. They review, so alongside your pitch deck and financials, so look at your investability score. And that helps them to build more conviction behind the business in many of the cases.
Nice. Okay. A few follow-up questions from there. Before that, there's a small little glitch in your Wi-Fi connection. It's not bad, but there's like a little bit of freezing. I don't know if you're aware of that or if there's like Wi-Fi issues, but I just thought I'd share
I
that.
saw that for a moment. I can try and switch to my mobile data at risk that it will disconnect me.
It's honestly not, it's not that bad. I think like, let's see how it goes. Because I can still, it's still coming through okay. There's just like very occasional delay, but we're okay for now. Okay.
And I can try to switch over to mobile data.
Sorry, what was that first bit?
Do let me know if that changes or if it gets worse, and I can try to switch over.
Okay, thanks. Hopefully we won't get there. So can you talk to me a little bit about the early exit bit? Because you're actually the first investor who has said that, especially around the Series A timeframe. And specifically, I'm interested in one, how does that come up in conversation? Because I know most investors would see an exit slide on a pitch deck as a red flag. So how are you finding that out? And then two, do you consider, could an exit look like for you if they have additional investors coming in Series A and they're able to buy you out? Like, how do you look at that?
Yeah, so that's interesting because an exit slide on a pitch deck being a red flag, that's actually the first time that I'm hearing about this. For me, you know, as an investor and speaking to other VCs in my network, I always looked at it more or less neutral. But to us, essentially, because we are pooling the funds from individual angels, for them, yes, they are happy with an early exit and they want an early exit. If you are raising from VCs, their return outlook will be slightly different because at the very least, they would be seeking to achieve the venture capital rate of return and do at least a 3x on their entire fund. So, you know, if it's a fund of 50 million pounds, with all of the returns, they're going to want to achieve at least 150 million return times 3. Whereas in terms of individual angels, and if we're talking about high net worths and also some family offices, it becomes very individual, subjective, and different. So in our case, the specific angels that we've got in our syndicate, yes, they want to exit early. They want to see those returns materialize, and exiting as early as Series A is possible. Part of our plan and long-term vision at Sixth Wave is that we want to develop the necessary arm and capabilities to help founders exit as well. So forming partnerships and networks with, you know, M&A advisors, acquirers, and actually helping startups to steer towards a healthy exit.
What does a healthy exit look like to you?
Yes, so it starts with a healthy cap table. And I think a lot of the investors who could foresee talking about exit as a red flag would also be those to whom clean cap tables will be very important. So for example, as a general rule of thumb, I like to say you should aim to have at least 50% ownership of your company by the time you reach Series A. If you're not, then you can end up being named over diluted. There's this article that I found online, and it tells about how the founders had a 1 billion exit, but due to how their cap table was structured, alongside with liquidation preferences and liquidation multiples, they got nothing out of that 1 billion sale. They literally got paid out zero. So very important to know how your fundraising journey stage by stage could look like, and by how much you can get diluted at every stage.
Okay.
So for example, a VC asking for anything above 20% of equity in one round, that's a lot to me, but it also depends on stage by stage. And I've got this full infographic in my fundraising course on this, because I think understanding this from the very earliest of stages when you're at pre-seed, if you can map it out, that's when you're going to be in control. That's when you're going to know, like, oh, okay, I can afford to give this much equity at this round, but at the next one, it's only going to be like, let's say 15% or 17 and so on.
That's really useful. I've seen some good online calculators to model different exits, and it's totally worth founders playing around with that, even if you don't plan to exit, just so you better understand like the impact of liquidation preferences and things like that. I think I'll know the answer to this, but I just want to make it really clear for founders. When you say 50% that you still own at the Series A point, that's between both founders, right? That's like between the whole founding team, not just the founders. Okay. And then typically for, like, let's say a pre-seed round and then the seed stage round, now you said not more than 20%, but is there a difference that founders should expect to give up for a pre-seed round and then a seed round?
So really depends. I've seen the average at pre-seed to be around 15% of equity given away. If you get, you can still get a VC even at pre-seed. Octopus Ventures, for example, launched their pre-seed fund. And if you're raising from VCs that early on, they can ask for a little bit more of equity to reward them for that very high risk that they're taking by investing in you at a pre-seed. And that's when you can get to 20% of equity. So whenever it's that larger amount, you should really ask yourself, okay, what does this VC, this investor can bring into my company aside from money? Can they introduce me to relevant other investors, networks, partners? How many people are on their team? Like, who's going to give you the support? If they have a team of 4 and 10 or 11 or 15 portfolio companies, you can do the math and be like, okay, so like how much time are they actually going to have for me? So you gotta consider that of, what is it that you're actually getting alongside the investment. If the equity asked for is anything above 20%, I would say do your due diligence on an investor as well.
Yes. And then last question. So bearing in mind the earlier exit, do you put more of an emphasis on the financial model and looking at where they expect to be in 3 years than maybe an investor who isn't focused on that? Or like how important is the financial model for you?
It's crucial, but I also think it's crucial to every single investor because we're literally making an investment and it's to make a return on investment. But I will also note that especially at pre-seed and maybe seed as well, but as long as you're pre-revenue, pre-product, pre-launch, the financial model, I've seen enough of them and I've seen enough startups over the years to know that it will completely change.
Yeah.
It will be completely different. Whatever you put in there is likely to change. But what we do look for, and especially I do when I analyze the financial statements, I want to make sure that you're making realistic assumptions. I want to make sure that your numbers are credible and that, for example, like my thought process here, for example, if I see that there is a very steep increase in your revenue projection, let's say from year 2 to year 3, I will then navigate back to your go-to-market strategy slide, and I would be seeking explanation of what happens between year 2 and 3 that will lead to that jump in revenues. And then if you're saying, oh, that's when we're expanding internationally, we're going to implement all of those new strategies, partnerships, and so on, then I would be asking you, okay, show me your hiring plan. Are you going to make enough hires to deliver that expanded go-to-market strategy? Do you going to have enough resources to actually deliver that? And I want to know who are you hiring and at how much. And then you're going to tell me that what salaries they're going to be hired on. Okay, I'm going back to your slide where you showcase the use of funds, and I would check how much did you devote to the new hires. So it really all needs to speak together.
That really mirrors exactly what came up during our session on the financial modeling. The guy, he's a finance expert and also an angel investor, and he said, like, good investors view financial models as stories. And so they're looking through, and I'm mainly looking to understand the narrative behind it as opposed to the actual numbers. Because as you said, if you're pre-product, especially, you're kind of pulling numbers out of the wind, but it's like, does that narrative match what you have?
A couple of hacks that I'll add that I've put in my course is that, for example, if you are at an idea stage, a good rule of thumb is that you should have a maximum of 3 revenue streams and 3 upsells in the first 3 years of your business. The rule 3-3-3. Otherwise, you end up being at risk that you're not going to have enough resources to run all 3 revenue streams at the same time. Then if any revenue stream is contributing to less than 20% of your revenues, consider getting rid of it because it takes you too long to model it out. It's eating up your resources, and it's best you focus on what works best. So yeah, it's really those, like, especially at pre-revenue, pre-seed, in the first year of your operations, I do not suppose any of your use of funds should be going towards marketing and sales because there's no product yet. That what are you marketing? So I would expect the product development, R&D, to be the biggest element of the pie chart of use of funds, and that makes sense at those early stages.
Sorry, can you repeat that? So it was 20, the 333 were
Yeah. So
revenue stream.
Maximum of 3 revenue streams
Okay.
and 3 upsells maximum in the first 3 years of your business.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll end there. I could keep asking you questions though. I want to give time to the 4 founders that we have lined up. We probably have time for 1 more, maybe 2 more, if anyone wants to go. Alexandra, you are up first, and then we'll do Sam, Barak, and Lee. You ready, Alexandra? Oh, you are. Love it. All right.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna hit the timer now. 3 minutes are starting.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So hi, everyone. I'm Alexandra, and I will be talking about Pixie. Oh. Okay. So for several different reasons, as well as different societal developments the last few years, we are observing an increasing number of increasing numbers of social isolation, disconnection, and loneliness around the world. To address this problem, we are building Pixie, which is effectively an AI-powered event and activity matcher. This is for everyone. So it's for busy professionals, for families, for all demographics, just because we think that everyone is experiencing this problem at the moment. We're a team of an international team of professionals, and we're looking to raise £1 million. A little more about the mission of our company. We are in the mental health space, but we're not necessarily a mental health application. What we're trying to achieve is help people reach social fitness. Social fitness is a term that got introduced by Professor Waldinger after publishing an 85-year-long Harvard study that essentially concludes by saying that what helps us live longer is being socially fit. So we have a network of people and activities that we're building, and this needs constant maintenance. It's a living system and it needs to be kept fit. And this is where Pixie comes in to help with this building and this maintenance. Unfortunately, things are not looking at all, people are not looking at all socially fit at the moment around the world. We're experiencing loneliness that's widespread, and that's age and location agnostic. And we see governments stepping in to actually help with what's becoming or about to become a global phenomenon. Instead of talking about the product, I decided to talk about what traction we're experiencing at the moment. We're essentially pre-launch, but we've been testing with users, and we're piloting now with clients at the moment. So this is how things are looking like for Pixie now. We have 6 clients that are generating £142,000 annual recurrent revenue. They're opening us to a pool of 1.3 million users, out of which we're targeting this first year to capture 10%. And in terms of value, we're running different tests, but this is what we hear from the users so far. 82% of them think that Pixie is adding value to their social life. 66% are using Pixie at least once a week, on average 1 to 2, and a staggering for us, because we build the model on a much lower percentage. 60.7% are willing to buy 1 of our subscriptions. We have a long pipeline of clients. We have 3 types of clients, and
Hey, Alexander, we're about 40 seconds over, so I'll give you 20 more seconds.
okay, sorry. Our team is combining technical, business, and scientific expertise. We have a lovely team of angels that are supporting us in many ways. And I just want to say that the 1 million, looping back to Eva's point, is just to set up the team and build a robust product. And after that, it's just going to be business development costs. And yes, to wrap up, we think that the time is right. We have proven the concept, and we're experiencing demand that we cannot satisfy. And we have identified several different growth opportunities, predominantly in more revenue streams and more geographies. Thank you so much. Sorry, I ran over.
No, well done. Thank you. Okay, Eva, over to you for feedback.
Yes, okay, perfect. So I was making notes. Firstly, do I assume correctly you're B2C and D2C, correct?
No, we're not at the, we're actually now B2B.
Okay, and then previously, did you start off as a B2C?
Yes, yes, we're testing with direct to consumer, but that's kind of like our beta testing.
Okay.
We will be B2C, but in the next stage of the business.
Okay, and then because I assume the 1.3 million users achieved
Come with the client. So each client brings in their pool of users.
Perfect. And so what was behind your decision to switch it up from B2C to B2B?
Yeah, so we thought that the B2C model is just really hard to achieve. Eventually, we will have to satisfy the customer. So the end customer is the individual user. But we just thought that we either needed to achieve critical mass, and to achieve it directly to the consumer, it would need a lot of money upfront, which we didn't have.
Okay, no, that's good. That's smart. And like I do like to know this because I want to know the reasoning behind founders thinking when they did, a pivot, because it really goes to show a business acumen. What I liked in your pitch is that, given the relatively short amount of time, you went straight into traction. And that's one of the really good metrics because it's show, not tell. One thing I wanted to clarify with you on that, you said that 142K is secured. What does secured mean?
We have either contracts signed or letters of intent.
Okay, and then what proportion of it is contracts and what proportion is letters of intent?
70-30 at the moment.
Okay, 70 being contracts?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know. I think worth mentioning that, and even splitting it in two. If that question comes often for you from investors, then yeah, I would consider adding this. And then what's your background?
My personal background?
Yeah,
I was in academia and then moved into management consulting, where I worked with digital transformation projects, and now I'm doing this tech startup.
Okay, perfect. Because I would probably add a little bit more on your background to the BIOS slide. I think that would be good. And then one other thing, as by means of comment, the only thing that I missed a little bit from the presentation was that, because you mentioned UK, US, and then Greece, I'd love to understand where is your presence? Where's your main country of operations? Is there a step-by-step expansion plan? And where do those 1.3 million users come from? Is it Greece, US?
Yeah. Do you want an answer now or just commenting? Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
If we've got the time on Zoom in here, of
Like
course.
10 more seconds. So if you want to share quickly, perfect.
So we are starting in Greece because this is where our clients are at the moment, and this is and we think that it's a great country to test the product. We have tested in the UK as well, and we're starting in October. We have, I don't know if you saw it in the pipeline, we have 5 clients that we're starting pilots in October with.
Perfect.
And the
Okay.
rest is other EU markets.
Well done, Alexandra. Thanks for being the first person up today too. Okay, Sam, we're gonna move on to you. And sorry, one more thing. Anyone who has feedback for Alexandra and wants to add that to the chat, please do so. Okay, Sam.
Thank you. Let me just. Can everyone see that?
Beautiful. Fire away.
Great, thank you. Let me tell you a story about hope. But before I do, as a show of hands, I've done this before and I'll do it again, but I just want to know again, has anyone here ever suffered from burnout or stress at work? Hands in the air, yeah. Yeah, me too. So 3 years ago, I was suffering from burnout and stress that I really didn't know where to turn. I'd spent over 10 years in consulting with lots of travel for a Fortune 500, and I felt very lost. I was extremely disappointed that there wasn't a better way to manage my stress and my performance at work. It took a real toll on my mental and physical health, and I'm not alone. There are very sad and stark statistics around mental well-being at work that means that we're in the midst of a pandemic and organizations are not getting the best performance from their people, which is why I decided to do something about it. And that's where Hope was born. So last year, we launched our therapy booking service, but we knew that we could go further with this and have a much greater impact. So in 2024, we're now building the next generation of mental health and wellbeing tools for organizations. For HR leaders and exec teams, Hope will enable the business to reduce burnout and turnover, see key wellbeing data, as well as integrating with other benefits and HR tools. For employees, a suite of premium services will be available to you, allowing you to be the best version of yourself every day. We make money in 3 different ways: from employee access subscriptions per user per month, for each booking made with a healthcare provider, and from monthly subscriptions with mental health and wellbeing providers. We're currently working with organizations on this next build phase with a potential 72k MRR available through these pilot customers. We have a seasoned team with deep experience in B2B and commercial software, organizational HR, and wellbeing, as well as B2B sales and marketing. We have an acute understanding of the problem space. We've been the user and the buyer, so we understand both the customer and the user needs. We're a globally distributed team, so we plan to launch Hope in multiple regions, allowing us to scale revenue and user adoption quickly. We're now raising 400k and have closed 115 of this already, and are now seeking a lead investor so we can continue building and scaling our impact. And as before, I'm going to offer Hope to this cohort for free for a year. So if you'd like to help you or your team with your well-being, please just drop me a yes, please, Sam, into the chat. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to hearing your questions.
Well done. 2 minutes and 58 seconds. Incredible. Okay, over to you for feedback, Eva.
I'm happy if we keep the slides on screen, by the way. Could I go back and see your team slide again, Sam? Because then, okay, yeah. Perfect. So given that, and I understood you're still pre-launch and you're raising 400k. So tell me who's full-time on the team out of all of the people that I can see here?
Me. This is a pretty fractional team, right? So
Okay.
to answer the short answer is me. My COO Julie and I were sort of partners in crime, and that Alex, she's my wife, but she works the executive job, so I can do this, but she's essentially partner in crime on this project.
Okay. So we've got you, Julie, and Alex. Is that the biggest, shares on your cap table?
No.
Okay.
Me and Alex are the biggest share. The others don't have shares on the cap table at the moment.
So Julie, as your COO, she does not have any shares?
She has share options, but not shares.
Okay. And not a salary yet, no?
Yes, so salaried to this are Julie, Heather, Montre, and Dr. Elaine. I take
Okay.
a very short.
So
Sorry.
that leads me kind of to the next question. So what's your burn rate at the moment?
Burn rate at the moment is 12K a month, and
Okay.
that's for products, and then doesn't include software on top of that.
Okay, and then show me again have you got the use of funds shown on there as well?
Yeah. Yeah, so not breakdown, but I can send you the breakdown of the use of funds.
Okay, so because like as just purely as like matter of feedback, because I can see that again your early stage, you're going to be building the next phase of technology to take it to the market. So I'm assuming most of your use of funds will be devoted to product development, but you've got such a big team, and you know, it's a low burn at 12K distributed between I suppose modest salaries between them. So the thing that I am thinking, how will you incentivize them to stay on? How will you incentivize them to actually, you know, continue to be on with you? And maybe you might need to devote a bigger portion of this use of funds to actually keep the team. And you know, and be able to, because like the lesser amount of shares that they have, the bigger salaries, you know, people would expect, especially at a COO level. So that's one of the things that come to my mind. I loved your intro. I understood fully everything that you've set out to do, the gravity of the problem, and I think we can all resonate with it. And very, very much well rehearsed, given, you know, the time constraint of only 3 minutes. If you could go back to me to the slide with the revenue streams. This one, yes. So I wanted to confirm, we've got 3 revenue streams in here. And the assumptions, so are you making an assumption that from your pre-seed round to seed, there's 12 months and that's your runway of 12 months?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then could you go back to the other slide with the, I think it was contracts or projected revenue? This one. So here I would be wondering, is this all projections as well? Or have you got like any LOI signed, any contract signed? How's the
LOIs.
breakdown?
Yeah, two LOIs being like literally being signed as we speak.
Okay.
No contracts. And the third one in the middle is yeah, TBC, like, but essentially we're building the product around them. So we want to obviously secure the LOI and any other form of contract. It's there to be, yeah, I've used this as I'm dangling the carrot for the investor to say we've got some great early traction. I want to see how far we can take this. Obviously, we haven't done go to market yet either. So this is just early stage.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that a lot of the feedback you might be hearing from investors is you're a little bit too early, but please come back to us when you've got contracts signed.
You know us really well already. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's what I thought as well, which is and often when you showcase like the future potential of the traction, that's exactly what you will hear. I would advise matching your traction slide with a little bit more of traction that you've already achieved. So how much of the prototype has been built already? The fact that you've assembled this team, any interviews maybe that you've conducted, any company IP that you've built, any partnerships or contacts that you've got in the works already, LOI signed already, maybe some traction, you know, social media, online presence. So if you can cast the view back on what's already there, I think this would allow to showcase that, like, oh, actually, we've already got so many of the things that we've done.
Perfect. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Right.
I think that's
Well, thank you. Okay, well done, Sam. Barak, you are up next. And we'll have time for 1, if not 2 more. So if anyone else wants to raise your hand, please do so.
All right. Sorry, team. I'm just trying to stop share. There we go. Sorry.
Be good. All right.
You see the screens? Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Hi, Eva. I'm Burak, and I'm the co-founder of Cat Jobs. Cat Jobs is a video-based recruitment platform dedicated to the hospitality industry globally. So together with my partner, Chris, we have 30 years of relevant experiences in hospitality and tech, and we're not first-time entrepreneurs. We set ourselves on a mission to solve hospitality hiring problems. We've run restaurants and clubs in London and Istanbul and have experienced the problems firsthand. We're dedicated to disrupting hospitality hiring, and we both are full-time on this. We have many trusted partners following our ideal. In hospitality, paper CVs don't really cut it anymore. Employees in the industry are unhappy with the current solutions. Hospitality has very diverse needs within the industry itself. A waiter in a bar, hotel, or Michelin-star restaurant have different responsibilities, although it is the same role. But we're solving these issues with video CVs in our unique pricing model. Candidates can showcase their skills and personalities, while employers can post jobs for free and pay to view the applicants. They are saving valuable time and resources, since hospitality outlets don't usually have large HR departments. This is a huge global market with 1.5 million outlets and close to 15 million hospitality workers across Europe and MENA. Turnover rates are really high, and it's a growing industry. Our MVPs are out and about and working. We currently have more than 10,000 users and a steady 20% month-on-month growth. We're ready to hit about 60,000 users by December. We've made more than 50 successful hires, and the feedback from both employees and employers have been great. We've touched base to more than 200 employers already, and we recently started making early revenue. We have two different ways of making money. We have Catch credit packages and Catch enterprise sales. In Catch Jobs, you only get charged for our value proposition, which is when you watch applicant videos. So we sell credit packages where employers use to view the Sorry?
Someone just took themselves off mute, but I
Okay.
didn't again, so keep going.
Yeah. So we sell credit packages where employers use to view the candidates or discover our talents. Our unit economics are very strong. We find ourselves in a niche area with a strong focus on community and much different business model than our competitors. We're currently looking to raise $250,000 or 200,000 pounds pre-seed, eligible for SEIS, to accelerate our growth and start adding to our product features. This is our forecast for the coming 3 years, and we'd love to share it with you by email. Cat Jobs is the solution for today and the standard of tomorrow. Thank you.
Well done. Okay, feedback.
Perfect. Thanks, Barak. Feel free to keep the presentation. Could you go back to your use of funds? This one. Yes. So I'm still, I do appreciate it's a fast presentation, but I am still trying to gauge and understand at what stage of development are you in exactly as of today?
So we have the products out. They've been live for about 7 to 8 months, and we have more than 10,000 active users on the user talent side, and more than 200 employers that are using our web panels to post jobs, make the hires, etc.
Amazing. And are you primarily B2B, or are you also B2B and B2C?
Currently, we're only B2B, but we would like to get into the B2C as well. So we're not charging the users as we speak, but that's something in the pipeline after our fundraise.
Okay, amazing. And then if you could go back to the partner slide, I was wondering to ask you, because you said you've got many trusted partners. Tell me, what does that entail? So let's take, for example, Soho House. Tell me, what does your partnership with Soho House look like?
We do their hiring for the Soho House in Istanbul, and we have very close ties with Soho House Global in London as well. Chris, this little chap here, is one of the first Soho House bartenders, actually, from Greek Street from the 90s. So we're super close with the Soho House management as well, with Nick Jones and the whole management. And from all the partners here, we essentially do all of their hiring for them. Some of them are free still, some of them are charged. Soho House, for instance, is free, because we only started charging in the beginning of May. It was a freemium model until then, but we work with all of these partners on the slide and many more.
So those that are charged, those that are paying you, I would suggest adding like a little tick next to their icon so that you can say, okay, charged free, and so on. Have you got statistics or numbers? So going with the example of Soho House, do you know how many of the potential employees applied for a job at Soho House through your platform?
Of course. So recently they had posted an executive chef job, like the top chef for Soho House Club in Istanbul, and we sent them about 22 applicants. Usually on other platforms, they would receive hundreds of applicants, but they would all be irrelevant, and they would be paper CVs.
Yeah.
Whereas through us, they were able to actually see 22 people that are proper chefs with their videos, etc.
And did they potentially make a hire out of those 22?
They haven't hired the executive chef, but they did hire a demi chef as well for the thing, and also another waiter as well. So they posted many jobs actually, not just one.
Stuff like that added under the partner logos. I would add exactly that. 22 applications, 2 hires made, 2 job applications made. Because otherwise, it's just like name dropping.
Yeah.
But if you back it with actual numbers, that's when this slide becomes so much more ever so material. I also noticed that in your bio, it said that you were involved in an exit.
In 2 exits, actually. Yeah, 10 years ago, Yemek Sepeti got bought by Delivery Hero, the food delivery startup in Istanbul, for about 600 million. At the
Yeah.
time, I was working for the CEO's team, so I was pretty much also involved in the deal. And my last workplace, Volt Lines, has also exited to a Dubai-based mobility platform called Swivel for 65 million 2 years ago in May. So, and in the meantime, I was in Modernista, where they had just raised their Series A, their unicorn now. And while I was at Hepsiburada, they IPO'd to the New York Stock Exchange, the first Turkish company to IPO in New York Stock Exchange. So I was also sort of involved in there. So I have some decent experiences on that matter.
So as an investor, when I look at your bio, that is exactly what I would want you to see. Like your first bullet point should literally said, 2 exits, 600 million in this year, 65 million exit in 2022. Put it in bold, put it as your first bullet point. It's absolutely fantastic, and it really speaks volumes. And then what's your valuation?
2.5 million.
2.5 million pre-money.
Post money. So we're looking to dilute 10% for 250K.
Okay, so look, the fact that you've been live for 8 months and you've got 10K active users, is that daily active or weekly active?
We have more than 10K user profiles, and we have about 70% of them that are active within 2 weeks. That's how we measure it. That's why we say active. So
Okay.
about 7,000 users log into the app just to check out for jobs, or just to,
Okay.
just to see.
So I assume that your retention metrics, as well as your customer acquisition cost and acquiring new users to the platform, will be the things that many investors will ask you about in detail, because you've got active users. That's great, fantastic. But once they find a job, they're not going to be active anymore. They're happy, they're done, their purpose on your app is done. So that's when, aside from retention, you need to have a dual focus. You need to also focus on the new user acquisition. So distribution is everything that VCs will be asking you. What's your channels to market? How do you reach them? And you've got that sorted with your partners, which is fantastic. And then...
Oh, sorry.
I was just to say that I think you could probably go at even a larger raise and a higher valuation, in my subjective could be opinion. But I think the fact that you've got like the 10K active users, you've got a pretty decent traction, and depending on the more traction that you've got with pretty impressive partners, when you were
investors as well, the owner of Kempinski Hotel in Turkey is our investor, and we have many other hoteliers as well that are involved, like leading hotels of the world, Sarvotel, like hotel development companies, etc., are also angel investors.
Because when you were speaking, I was expecting to see, oh yeah, we're raising 750K, our valuation is like 5 million. That's what I was expecting. So that's just like a piece of advice from me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's pretty much it. Like, really strong pitch. I enjoyed this one a lot.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done. Okay. Harry, don't hate me. I'm gonna have Philippe go first just because he's pitched slightly less. And then we'll have you.
Thank you very much.
Wait, sorry, I'm just gonna jump in and say one more thing. If any of you have not pitched and you're really nervous, now is like your final few minutes to do so. So please, if you're so inclined, raise your hand. Okay, go for it.
Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, fire away.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Eva, for taking the time. I'm Philip, the CEO of Iodo, and we're providing software enabling real-time and real-world optimization of urban last-mile delivery operations. So, right. So, as many of you may know, the last-mile delivery environment is absolutely exploding. Over the next 6 years, we're expecting to see a 5 times increase in the number of parcels being delivered every second across the world. And the last mile delivery market is expected to double in size to 424 billion by 2030. And all of this is taking place while the urban landscape is actually getting super complicated. It already is pretty damn complicated, but it's getting more so with the increased volume of parcels being delivered, more people moving into city environments, more vehicles on the road than ever before, and more demands from customers, not just for the deliveries, but also for the nature of the deliveries, including cheaper, faster, greener, and more flexible deliveries. And this is all happening while delivery businesses are still struggling with incredibly high operational costs, typically 4 to 10%. And so they're desperate for any additional efficiencies and any additional support. We know that kind of adapting to changing environments, changing super dynamic environments is really difficult because we've interviewed over 100 business leaders in this space. More recently this week, haven't updated the slide annoyingly, but we've also spoken to larger businesses like DHL, DPD, Jaguar Land Rover, Lamborghini, who also struggle with in these environments with last mile delivery. But these are a number of businesses that have actually given us quotes and spoken to us and confirmed our kind of hypotheses that adaptability in urban environments is a growing pain, growing pain for them. But not only this, as a founding team, we have firsthand experience in this challenge. Our COO, Shem, used to be the head of operations at Getir, a delivery unicorn from Turkey. Pablo is an experienced connected and autonomous systems engineer, more recently from Arrival, but has worked with a number of really disruptive and innovative brands like JLR, Bentley, and Ricardo. And myself, I'm a strategy and operations consultant, working with EY and boutique consultancies, but have also worked with a number of mobility brands on EV connected and autonomous value propositions, specifically in micromobility and the logistics space. So collectively, we have firsthand experience in this problem and believe that we have the solution. So in terms of the competitive landscape, it's quite a busy market, but all the competitors, all the players on the market to date really focus on optimizing at the planning stage of last mile delivery. Whereas Iodo plans to be different. Not only are we going to support the planning stage, but we're also optimizing the execution, because that is really where the majority of costs are won or lost. And we do this with through 2 pillars. Firstly, we enable real-time optimization throughout the day. So when your delivery driver—
Hey, Philippe, we're at we're over 3 minutes, and I want to make sure we have time for one more pitch.
Oh wow!
So
Okay,
10 more
fine.
seconds. Time flies.
Okay. Well, we enable real-time optimization and real-world learning. So apologies that I can't go into this detail. We've already ran some trials with some pretty impressive numbers with early-stage customers. To date, we've developed this prototype, and we're currently working on our MVP, which will be due to launch in a couple of months' time. I'll skip past this. And we're raising 400,000 over the next couple of months to scale the MVP to V1 and start tackling our growth markets. Thank you.
Well done. Okay, let's do feedback for probably like 1 to 2 minutes max, and then at 11:55, Austin will go to you.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So especially when you're pitching in settings such as this one, where it's only 3 minutes, I would definitely advise moving pretty much most of your ending slides more to the front, so that it's quicker that I know, oh, okay, you're at the prototype stage, you're in trials, and do go back for me on the slide so I can take a look at some of the traction and achievements that you've got, which is, go back one more time. this one, I think. So did you mention that on this slide, you mentioned that you've done some successful trials already?
Yeah.
Okay. Where they were, can you tell me where they were? Was that in the UK, in one of the cities here, or?
Yeah, so it was in London. It was with an urban laundry company that
Okay.
has kind of 500 deliveries a day, 10 internal drivers. They shared some data with us, and we kind of put it through our prototype. And these are sort of the results that we managed to get out. So it doesn't enable the real-time optimization or the real-world learning, but it was kind of an early test with the prototype that we were building.
So that's probably what I would want to see more of in your pitch deck. We've done a trial with a London-based company that many deliveries per day. This is the feedback that we've got from them. Put in some quote that they tell you. Ask them about like a short testimonial. This is what they said. Can they give you an estimate by how much their operational efficiency or speed of deliveries improved? Because if yes, amazing. That's when you say, in our trials, IODO enabled to make this many more deliveries per day, or whatever other metrics that this company would be tracking. So because you're you're at the relatively early stage, really putting that trial as your flagship achievement and everything that came with it will bring it to life. That's what I would seek to understand. And then you mentioned previously a global market, but now I have learned that you've tested it just in London and just in the UK. So a question that might be posed by some investors to you is, will you ensure that you will replicate this success in other markets, because they might be completely different to London's infrastructure and even the receptiveness of the other players to use this. And this is probably when some VCs might want to hear a solid hiring plan from you and a step-by-step rollout plan to which other cities you will expand to first and why, and which countries first and why, because it's crucial, and the order in which you do it can really make or break business. I don't know how much in detail the story of Uber's expansion, country by country, but oh my God, there's like so many lessons on there on carefully selecting.
Eva, I'm just going to jump in really quickly. Austin, I saw you put your hand down. I'm not sure whether or not you want to pitch. If you do,
okay.
please message me. If not, let's keep going with feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically that stage by stage rollout, and probably that calls for a solid go-to-market slide in which you will exactly show your reasoning behind, okay, what's next and how will you actually achieve that growth? And how will you ensure that the success of your London trial can be replicated, let's say, I don't know, Scotland, Manchester, Paris, or other cities?
We're gonna move on to Austin. Well done, Philippe. Great
Thank you very
feedback,
much.
Eva. Thank you. Okay, Austin, you're the last person pitching in the program, so don't blow it. Kidding. Okay. Okay.
Eva, I think this will be a good one because I think you came to our launch party 2 years ago.
I remember Circle. Yeah, exactly.
How are you doing? I can't share my screen because somebody
Philippe,
else
you
is
need to
sharing.
exit screen share mode.
Sharing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
Here we go.
And Eva, are you able to stay on for an additional 2 minutes?
Yes, that should be fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'll make
By way.
I'll make this super quick. So Eva, you know the Circle. So we're a full service fashion marketplace for women's wear. And if you take one thing away from today, I want you to forget about what you already think about secondhand fashion. So being a full service marketplace, what we do is we make things super easy for the seller. We list your items, we answer questions, we send the clothes, but we're more focused on what it means for the buyer. And what it means for the buyer is that you can buy secondhand clothing that is perfect. So you no longer have to sift through thrift stores, go through issues with Depop where there's trust or people don't sell things or things smell like a dog's dinner. It's all about perfectly presented, perfectly wonderful secondhand fashion, which comes at an amazing price. So why this? 100 billion items of clothing are produced every single year. It contributes to about 10% of global carbon emissions, 20% of global wastewater, etc. It's more than maritime shipping and air travel combined in terms of pollution output. So for us, we're a purpose-led business, but we're more also about the opportunity, and the opportunity is huge. So secondhand is the fastest growing sector in fashion. And as a kind of anecdotal thought, I believe a lot of women actually have more value in their wardrobe than they do their car. And not many people will buy a new car or a new secondhand car and leave their old car sitting on the drive and have 2-3 cars sitting in the drive. So what we're trying to do is create a more circular world in terms of fashion, and resale is the easiest way to do that. The opportunity is huge though. So the fastest growing sector in fashion as well. And, you know, one of the things is we're not the first business to be doing this, but the tide is changing and technology is changing. So Vinted turned a profit for the first time recently. We just turned a profit for the first time in March. And we're expecting things like digital product passports, where you have data for clothes, and AI that's going to help photography in the next few years really make an impact. We've been able to create a difference based on the incumbent providers. We already use, with our tiny team, we already use like AI product recommendations. So we, if you're looking at an item on our site, you can select, or you'll see all the available items that look like that. So it stops you sifting through. So we've got a lot of kind of stuff like that on our site, which I'd love to talk to you about. So why us? So I like to.
We're at 3 minutes. Okay. So additional 20 seconds.
Okay, so it's me and 2 superstars. So Julian co-founded Made.com, massive D2C e-commerce business. Eliza was on Made in Chelsea, but is a sustainable shopping guru. And I've previously worked for a top 3 UK D2C e-commerce brand. So I'll stop there.
Beautiful, well done. I'm glad you squeezed in that team slide at the end. Looks important. Okay, over to you for feedback, Eva.
Perfect. So yes, Austin, I do remember when we met on the Circle launch party, and I remember that Eliza was part then as well.
So you just cut out for like 10 seconds with the. Sorry.
Do I remember correctly that Eliza was back with you 2 years ago at the launch party as well?
Correct.
As part of. Okay. Go back to me to the team slide if you can. And that launch party was like 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then was back then with you as. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Sorry about that. So Julian was back there with you as well?
Correct, yeah. Okay,
and then I think I picked up in your pitch that you've got a team of 20 already, right?
Not 20, no, we've got 6.
6, okay. I'm not sure why did I pick up 20 and when you were speaking to on the pitch, but is everyone out of those 6 full-time?
We've got 6 full-time and several part-time, yeah.
Okay, nice, that's good. I was just trying to ascertain the team growth in the last years. So I liked what you were saying, but I know it's just the time constraint because we didn't really get to those slides with the traction that I really wanted to see. The pitch alone, you've really sold me the idea of circular fashion, but not yet the business, which I anticipate this is all in your slides here. Tell me, like how many years, like you're post-launch already, I know that. How many daily active users have you got? Have you got that number?
So I don't have daily active users because, well, we have about monthly, we have about 20,000 sessions.
20,000 sessions. Okay, perfect. And then your distribution strategy, and I presume it's predominantly B2C?
It's B2C, but also we're working with partners. So we're launching, for example, with H&M this week.
Okay. Do you know your K factor?
No.
Okay, so that's almost always whenever I speak to D2C marketplaces, B2C marketplaces, distribution is something that the VCs will ask you most. A lot of them, they do want to know your K factor, like how many users referred other users, because that's where that viral growth can come from. The example I like to give in here is a platform called Loop that have achieved 10,000 users in the first 50 days without spending anything on marketing. And you can implement that at any point. The measures of virality to make sure that, like your users are getting more users to your platform, especially that we're talking circularity, we're talking secondhand fashion, and you've got Eliza, whom I think she's got online presence, social media presence.
Correct.
Achieving virality and utilizing influencers just makes so much sense for you, I think. And that way, with implementing the right, sharing of your platform, inviting those tactics, I think you could really, like triple your growth. Users coming from other users, and they will literally do all of that marketing for you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Austin. And Eva, thank you so much for your time. I love the questions that you ask, exactly like where to press, and yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so I know you have a little bit to share about what you're working on and how founders can benefit from it. We'll send it around an email as well, but is there anything that you want to add before you jump off?
Yeah, probably like a couple of different things. So, as part of like 6Wave, if you think that you are in our thesis, you can submit your pitch deck to us online. We review all of them. But then I also need to say that as part of our selection process, so on their investability score first. So that will be shared in the link as well, because you can get the score, and that way you are being considered by our angel syndicate. And then naturally, I know how time consuming fundraising can be and how long investor outreach is. And so if you're seeking more usable templates, copy and paste responses to investors and investor lists, I've got my fundraising course. So I think that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, we can stop the recording there. We'll wave goodbye to Eva. And then founders stick around for like 5 more minutes so we can go over some end of program details.